Once upon a time, there lived a woman named Nazo in the city with her only daughter, Eair. However, Eair was a stubborn and ungrateful girl who despised her mother for being poor. Nazo worked as a toilet cleaner in a prestigious hotel, scrubbing floors and washing away filth to earn a living for her daughter. But instead of gratitude, Eair treated her with disdain. "You smell disgusting." She would sneer whenever her mother returned home from work, her nose wrinkled in disgust. Nazo's heart ached at her daughter's cruel words. She had sacrificed everything to ensure that Eair had a good education, clean clothes, and food to eat. But Eair never saw her mother's struggle. All she felt for her was shame. At school, she compared herself to her wealthy friends, whose parents took them on lavish trips and bought them the latest phones and gadgets. The pressure weighed on her, and she longed for the luxury her mother could not provide. One evening, unable to bear her life of poverty any longer, Eair packed her bags and left. She left behind a heartbreaking letter, filled with resentment and disappointment. She even went so far as to call her mother cursed for being a poor toilet cleaner with no vision in life. Excited for her new future, she set off to live with her father, the same man who had abandoned her at birth, never once looking back. Nazo had always warned her about him, painting him as a cruel and selfish man. But as Eair stood before him for the first time, all she saw was a caring father offering her the life she had always dreamed of. While Eair basked in her newfound wealth, Nazo sat alone in their small house, her heart shattered as she read her daughter's letter. Tears streamed down her face as she remembered every sacrifice she had made for Eair. The man who had once ruined her life had now stolen her daughter, and Eair had chosen to abandon her for him. Meanwhile, Eair reveled in her luxurious new life. She had everything she had ever dreamed of: designer clothes, expensive shoes, lavish meals, and unlimited spending money. She flaunted her new status on social media, surrounded by friends who only cared for her because of her father's wealth. For months, she never once thought of her mother. But Nazo, despite her pain, could not give up on her daughter. A mother's love is unconditional, and so, after much hesitation, she decided to search for her. When Nazo arrived at the grand gates of the mansion, the guard shot her harsh, judging looks. The house was far beyond anything she had ever imagined: enormous, extravagant. It took all her courage to step forward. "I am here to see my daughter, Eair," she said firmly. The guards hesitated, reluctant to let a woman dressed in faded clothes inside. Before they could turn her away, Eair stepped out, her face glowing with wealth and pride. For a moment, Nazo's heart swelled with joy at the sight of her daughter. "Eair, you look well," she said softly. Eir's face twisted in disgust. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. "Have you come to beg me for money?" Nazo's lips trembled at her daughter's cruel words. "Eair, I only came to remind you of where you belong. You are my daughter, not this man's property. Come home, my child." Eair scoffed. "Go home? To what? A house that smells like a toilet? A life of suffering? No, mother. If you want to stay in poverty, that's your choice. But I refuse to let your curse follow me." Her voice was venomous, cold. Nazo watched in disbelief as her daughter humiliated her. Tears welled in her eyes, but before she could say another word, Eair turned to the guards. Throw her out." The guards hesitated, but Eir's command was clear. Rough hands grabbed Nazo, dragging her away from the mansion. "Don't ever come looking for me again." Eir's voice rang out as her mother stumbled onto the paved road. Weeks passed, and Eir continued to enjoy her father's wealth. One evening, Chief Afam informed her that she would be accompanying him to an important meeting. Excited, she dressed in a stunning black gown, eager to prove that she belonged in his world. As they drove out of town, the roads grew rougher, the city lights fading behind them. "Daddy, where exactly are we going?" she asked, unease creeping into her voice. Her father didn't answer. When they finally arrived at a secluded house deep in the forest, fear gripped her. "This doesn't feel right," she whispered. But Chief Afam walked ahead, commanding her to follow. The moment she stepped inside, dizziness washed over her. The room spun. She clutched at a chair to steady herself. "What's happening to me?" she gasped. Her father stood still, watching as her vision faded to black. When she awoke, she was back in her room at the mansion. Everything from the previous night had vanished: her dress, her memories of what had happened. But something felt wrong. Nightmares plagued her. In them, she found herself in a forest, endlessly digging a hole. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't stop. Her hands bled, her body ached. And then, in one terrifying dream, a rotting hand emerged from the earth, grabbing her wrist. "You are ours now," a voice whispered. She woke up, screaming. Soon, the nightmares began to manifest in reality. Her wrist swelled, the skin darkened and began to rot. A foul stench clung to her. Her friends abandoned her. Even her maids recoiled in horror. One morning, her father summoned her. "You can no longer stay here," he said coldly. "What?" she cried. "Your stench fills the entire house. I will not have my home turned into a graveyard." Tears streamed down her face. "Daddy, please," she begged. But Chief Afam's lips curled in disgust. "Look at you," he spat. "You're cursed. Can't you see? I can't allow you to destroy everything I've built." And just like that, she was thrown out. Humiliated, abandoned, she wandered the streets. People avoided her, children ran in fear. She had nowhere to go. Finally, with no other choice, she returned to the small house she once called home. But when she knocked weakly on the door, a stranger answered. "Your mother doesn't live here anymore." Eir's heart dropped. She collapsed onto the ground, sobbing. The one person who would have loved her, despite everything, her mother was gone. For the first time, she realized that she had traded gold for rocks. She became a beggar, mocked by those who once admired her. On her birthday, unable to bear it any longer, she decided to end it all. But at the riverbank, she met a blind, crippled woman who wept bitterly. "Please, God, don't take my life yet. I want to live," the woman cried. Eir froze. Here was someone worse off than her, yet she still wanted to live. Tears filled Rare's eyes. "I wanted to die," she whispered. The woman turned to her. "The true curse is forgetting that life, no matter how painful, is still life." At that moment, Eir realized her mistake. She had abandoned the one person who had truly loved her. But she still had life. she still had a chance to make things right. She woke up with a jolt in her mother's house. It had all been a dream. Tears streaming, she ran to Nazo and fell to her knees. "Mama, please forgive me," she sobbed. Nazo pulled her into her arms. "You have always been mine, my child." That day, Eair vowed never to take her mother's love for granted again. Lesson: true wealth is found in love, sacrifice, and the people who care for us. Never take them for granted.